Hey there, planners. I've decided to go with one book for the month of July for my personal planning. Nope, no ring-bound planners, no multiple planners, one book to rule them all, this B6 Stalogy. And I'm going to be setting it up today as a brand new bullet journal and wanted to bring you along with me. So go grab your planners and let's get planning. So I thought I would start out just by going through the supplies that I have gathered to set up a brand new B6 Stalogy bullet journal. And then I will get started and speed it up and kind of talk you through as I'm going. Otherwise, I think this will be a very long video. It's probably going to stretch over a few different days, and so as I have time, I'll come back and work on it, but I do want to just hit the supplies that I have quickly. So let's start with the journal. It is a B6 Stalogy 365. I have already numbered the pages. That's really important to me. I like to have the pages numbered. And I've also gone through and just kind of put a few sticky notes for setup about things I want in the front and the back. So that's pretty much what I have done so far. B6 Stalogy, this is a new size for me. I've always been an A5 girl. You guys know that if you've watched my videos. But this size is really intriguing, and I have very much enjoyed the B6 size ring planner that I've been using from Printpressions. I'll leave some videos down below if you want to go check those out. So I thought it would be fun for One Book July to explore this size and really see, is this a size that will work for me? I can tell you right away, one of the things I really like about it is that the grid on the page is larger than in the A5. So that already is a bonus. All right, so that's the book. I've got a whole bunch of washi here, and all of this is Simply Gilded. I have talked a lot recently about my love for the Simply Gilded subscription box, and so I have just gathered a bunch of washi. You can see a theme here. I've got some mermaids and some tropical, and that's kind of I figured July is a great time to tap into that that mermaid theme. So got a bunch of washis, beautiful, from Simply Gilded. I also have these page flags that go right along with the theme there. I've got some paper, so I'm not sure that I will use all of these or which of these I will use, but I have them available if I would like to use them. And then I also have some vellums available. Same thing, I've trimmed them down to B6 size, and this is just from my stash, kind of shopping my stash. So I've got a lot of those available if I want to use them. I have some acetate. Some of these, this hollow foiling, or I'm sorry, this holographic vinyl is actually Cricut holographic vinyl, and I used my Cricut to make a few things. 2021, Flow, my word of the year, and then just this mermaid that I then laminated to make it for a tip-in if I want to use that. And then I've got some acetates here that I will consider using as well. So that's kind of all the guts. I also have a couple of tip-ins that I am going to consider using in the planner. So, you know, I debated a bit about, do I want to set this book up just for 1 month, or do I want to set this book up as though I were setting up a brand new bullet journal that I intend to use, you know, for the future? And I actually decided to go ahead and set it up like I was going to use it, you know, month over month, because I do have some travel coming up, and I think trying to carry multiple planners in my planning system while, you know, traveling overseas might not be the most convenient or the easiest way to travel. So if I love it, I'll stick with it. If after the month of July I really want to go back to my you know, multiple planner system, I will do that. But go ahead and setting it up as though I am going to continuously use it with all those, you know, beginning bullet journal pages and back pages and reference pages, things like that, gives me the flexibility to hop back into the system anytime in 2021 that I just want to go back to a single bullet journal. So I'm actually going to be setting it up like you know, a brand new bullet journal that I intend to use. So that's why you'll see some of the tip-in pages printed that I have. Outside of that, I have just my little bucket of of Avery tabs here that I will pull from and use as I need to. I've got some additional page flags here, and I've got some stickers, some vellum sticky notes. I've got a bunch of adhesives to choose from because you never know what type of adhesive you're going to need, and just scissors and other pins, other tools. So I'll try to list everything down in the description box below, but I have pulled together a lot of supplies for this because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be needing. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and get started and speed this up, and I will do a little voiceover to talk you through my progress. All right, let's go. So for these first two classic gray Stalogy pages, I wasn't quite sure what to do. I considered doing a washi dashboard with all these amazing washies that I had, but I quickly decided that I did not want to go that route because I practiced and it just didn't come out the way I wanted. So I actually ended up using some really nice cardstock, not too thick, and I just used double-sided tape and stuck it down. I'm using these vinyl decals that I actually made with some awesome holographic vinyl I found on sale. The brand is Cricut, and I used my Cricut to make them. This is the first time I've made these, and I quickly see that I will be addicted to doing these. They were so much fun. Now, they are a little tricky to weed out all the excess pieces and make sure you get them stuck down to the transfer paper. You can see I'm really working to get them stuck down so nothing rips and everything comes up like it should. So it's a little fussy, but I absolutely love the way they look, especially this one, which is my word of the year, flow, and you'll see that come up later in my setup as well. But I absolutely love the way these came out. I'm really happy with the way this looks because not only does it go with the theme that I'm using for setup, but I also think if I end up using this bullet journal beyond just the July timeframe, this paper and this cover are going to go with different seasons and different decorations. So really happy about the way this looks. So I'm getting into my first page into the Stalogy, and I am going to be just using some decorative paper and a vellum printable. I printed it myself, but it actually came as a free printable that I downloaded, and I cannot remember. I have searched everywhere trying to remember where I got this. It's a quote that actually comes from the movie Miracle on 34th Street. And while that's very Christmassy, I really like the quote itself, and I think it goes well with kind of my setup theme. The quote is, "Faith is believing when common sense tells you not to." So I think it's appropriate quote for a mermaid themed setup, but also I really like the quote, and to me it's a bit biblical. Faith is believing, not seeing or hearing. So I like this as the intro, and I'm adding in a couple of stickers I had. I don't even remember when I got this set. It may have been last year when I did a bullet journal mermaid theme before. And I really like the way they go with this theme. So it's fun to shop your stash, and I did a lot of that for this setup. I did get a couple of things, but I really dug into all my supplies and tried to use them up for this one book July setup. So first couple of pages down, time to move on to the next page. So this is a year at a glance, and actually I did the last 6 months of 2021 and the first 6 months of 2022. It's a free printable from wonderful.com, and I'll have that linked down below. I had a little bit of trouble getting it on straight because I actually printed it on sticker paper. It's a great little trick to get things to stick down, rather than tipping them in. To print them on sticker paper if you can get them in straight, which I had trouble with this one. Then now I'm adding in a vellum, which I printed. It's an image that came off of Pixabay. Great place to get copyright-free images. It's just kind of like a water splash type image, and I'm actually putting my word of the year behind it. So, and it's the definition of my word of the year. My word of the year this year for 2021 was flow. And the definition I chose is flow as a noun the action or fact of moving along in a steady, continuous stream from source to destination. And, I chose that word through the process that I use, a lot of prayer and thought, but it just really seemed to fit the 2021 and, coming out of 2020, what I needed in 2021. So now I'm putting in my inbox. So I made this inbox by printing the word inbox with a line on a piece of vellum and then running it through my laminator with the size 3 lamination pouches. So it's not too thick, and it's really perfect to be a sticky note dashboard, which is what I intend to make it. Now you can see that I've already tipped it in on the back side with some clear tape, but I wanted to add just a little bit of decoration and bring in that mermaid color and theme into this page as well. So I'm picking one of the washies and just running it down the spine and using my card just to kind of press it into the bend of the page so it works easily and the page is able to bend. I like having the vellum laminated as a dashboard, and I love to use sticky notes as part. They are a major part of my planning process. I pre-plan with them. I capture incoming items. It's just a quick place to jot a note, and when you don't have time to deal with it but you don't want to lose it. So that's how I intend to use this. Now I've pulled out these packs, these really awesome packs. They're color palette stickies, and I got them off Amazon. They come in all different colors. I have several, but I don't have anywhere near all of them. There's a whole bunch to choose from, different sizes, different colors, some with lines, some with grids, some with dots. They're really handy, and so I'm putting just a few, like 2 or 3 of several different colors down, and then I'll keep refilling them as I use them. I'm also putting in some of these page flags from Simply Gilded. The color scheme was amazing, really went with my theme. So added in that, and now I'm moving on to Future Log. So Future Log is one of the most critical aspects of setting up a bullet journal, in my opinion. I don't know how you successfully keep a bullet journal without a future log. I'm using a year-at-a-glance printable that I put on sticker paper from wonderful.com. Oh, I'm sorry, from lovelyplanner.com, and I'll have that link down below. Lovely Planner actually has a bunch of different formats and different fonts to pick from, so it's a really great free printable. I'm also using stickers from a Happy Planner sticker book called Year to Shine, and I just found the colors really, really complementary to the mermaid theme, and I'll use this sticker book quite a bit through the rest of this setup. But basically, I'm putting 2 months per page and leaving plenty of space for writing out upcoming events. I'm planning to definitely use this book in the month of July, but if I am going to use it any more than that, I would definitely need a full future log. So I went ahead and set up a future log for the rest of 2021 and then left myself some space to go out even further if I need to, kind of undated items and 2022 items as I learn about them. I just used a little bit of the mermaid washi to separate out the pages, and I put these awesome watercolor stickers, brushstroke stickers down to mark the different months and where they're sitting. Actually, it would be a great idea to actually physically watercolor on the Stalogy pages. Stalogy, I have found, does really well with watercolor, so that would be another option if you didn't have the stickers to work with. I've got a much more detailed video for beginner bullet journalers. If you are interested in learning more about the future log and how to set it up and how to use it, I'll have that link down below so that you can take a look at it. But it is a really important part of setting up a bullet journal, particularly because a bullet journal is really just a blank page. So now I am using some of this awesome mermaid vellum. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby, and I'm tipping it in. You'll see me tip in a lot of things through this video and setup. If you're interested in learning more about how to do that, it can be a little tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. I'll link a video that I made, but I'll also say if you just search on YouTube how to tip in, there are some really great videos by other YouTubers as well. I wouldn't call myself an expert or even the best. All right, for this next section, it's going to be all about goals. I goal plan in my Cultivate What Matters Goal Planning Power Sheets book for 2021, and I have an entire playlist all about goals. So I will leave that link down below. But I do want to capture a space in this bullet journal for bringing over the final product of my goal planning sessions that I do on a monthly basis. And particularly, I want to capture my annual goals as well as getting those quarterly view of the goals that are upcoming. And this is because if I'm traveling somewhere or I'm going somewhere, I may not necessarily have my entire power sheets set with me. I may just bring this bullet journal. And so it will be really handy just to have the goals with me and be able to look back on, what is it that I'm supposed to be accomplishing this quarter and how does that tie into my months? So when I'm setting up the months, I can actually flip to this section and see, are there additional ideas or, brainstorm on them as I'm out and about. And so I really liked setting up this goal planning section. This one page is for July through September, and then the second page is for October through December. And so just capturing the quarterly overview of the goals, and I will not do the goal setting in this book, but just capture the results out of my power sheets. Adding in a couple of little creatures from the sea from my sticker kit to bring in that theme, and I really like the way those pages turned out. All right, for this next section, I'm going to be setting up just a few lists that I want to keep in my bullet journal, but aren't tied to a specific month. So these would be like overarching lists. You can put a ton of lists in your bullet journal, and I have done that in the past. But for this one, I'm just going to use a couple of lists. This first list is going to be a wish list, and I really like to do this about middle of the year, start really paying attention to my own wish list, because honestly, we're not that far from Christmas, which is crazy to think about, but true. And I always get asked, from family and friends, what I might want for the holidays, and I can never think of anything. So I thought I would just set up a list and start keeping track of, what I might want. I'm using a Tombow here to differentiate between lines and rows. It's 2 columns that I made. The other list that I'm making here is a gift ideas list for the same reason. Holidays are not that far away, and I just want to start keeping track of, family members and loved ones, what they might want for the holidays that are coming up quickly. This next list comes from the Getting Things Done productivity methods, and it's called a someday maybe list. And, at first I kind of poo-pooed this list and this idea, but the more I have used it, the more I realize how powerful it is. The ability to just jot something down somewhere where it's safely kept that you can come back to in the future, but you don't actually have to do anything with it right now. Very nice to have. So I have been using that quite a bit and definitely want to include it in this bullet journal. These next 2 lists are ones that I haven't used in a really long time, but I'm excited to start keeping them again. And it's what I'm watching and what I'm reading. It's summertime. I do a bit more reading in the summertime. And so I'm excited to keep these lists again. All right, this next page that I'm setting up is really kind of a separation page from the previous section to the next section. The next section is going to be all about trackers. So I've got a few trackers that I want to keep in this bullet journal that are not tied to a specific month or week. They're kind of overarching trackers. And so I'm setting up a page just to, kind of set apart this section. And then I realized as I was getting ready to set up trackers that, gosh, I really need to set up a couple of my back pages, especially my grid spacing page. So if you are not familiar with a grid spacing page, I recently put out a video for beginners all about the grid spacing page and how it is one of the most important bullet journal hacks ever. And so if you're interested in learning more about what a grid spacing page is and how to set it up and how to use it, I will have that video linked down below in the description box. But basically, it tells me how many boxes there are per page and where the middle is, and really helps me set up things like trackers where I am going to be counting boxes and lines and making sure I have enough places to track, all the things I want to track. This page is my next Bujo page, and I love to keep that when I have ideas about what I want to do in my next bullet journal. I keep them right there. All right, so back to trackers. The first tracker that I'm setting up, I actually got this idea from someone else here in the YouTube world, and I just thought it was such a great idea. So this comes from Vera at Simple Happy Zen is the name of her channel. This is a monthly check-in tracker, and it's a bit more complex and gives more detail than like an annual mood tracker where you would just track your mood in color codes or symbols. This actually goes into detail, giving a rating of 1 to 5 to several areas each month. And the areas that I picked to track were mood, sleep, stress, health, emotional, family, creativity, work, marriage, just a bunch of different areas that I felt like were important to kind of keep track of each month and rate on a scale of 1 to 5. And I think that's really going to help me when I'm setting up my monthly goals and thinking about, what areas do I really need to focus in. I've been doing a lot of work on stress trigger tracking. So stress is one of the areas I'm going to be tracking in the monthly check-in. I just really liked the idea of getting a bit more detailed. And so I've set this up for the next 6 months, July, August, September, October, November, and December. Maybe I will be using this bullet journal each month. I'm not quite sure, but I thought it was good to have in here in case I do end up sticking with this bullet journal. I can come back in and measure these areas. And I really think it'll be good to look back on. It gives a bit more detail than that annual mood tracker, and I think that's going to be really handy. All right, next tracker that I am setting up is a symptoms tracker. So I am very lucky that I do not, I'm not sick very often, but I do have seasonal allergies and, I'm just getting older. And so paying attention to symptoms that I'm having, and I'm just capturing date, symptom, and any notes. That way I can kind of track and look back and see, when do seasonal allergies start? That's always important to know. And, are there any other tracking items that I get from my monthly check-in that may relate to symptoms that I'm having? So I think these two are good side-by-side together trackers. All right, the next tracker that I'm going to set up is a really funny one. So my husband is big time into golfing, and he has been really focusing on improving his golf game, and even to the point of actually playing in some local tournaments, golf tournaments, which is really fun, and he's very excited about it. And so I noticed that, he always tells us, and we ask when he gets back from golfing what his score was. And I thought, it would be really interesting because he has consistently improved his score over the last few years. And so I thought it would be really interesting to start tracking his golf score. So I'm setting up a tracker for my husband's golf score, just to be able to tell him, show him how much he's improving and how his score is changing. So what I've got here is the date, the course that he played, the score that he achieved, and any notes like how did he feel afterwards? Was there a certain part of his game that he was worried about? Just things that I pick up in conversation with him. So this is a fun little tracker. I'm excited to show him that I've got this in my bullet journal, and that I really am keeping up with how he's doing and how he's improving. All right, so that's all my pages set up for my bullet journal setup. Now I'm going back in and just adding in some tabs to things I know I'm going to want to flip to quite frequently, like my list, my goals section, where the trackers start. I'm just adding in some of those tabs and just making sure that I can find things easily. I'm using tabs on the bottom and tabs on the sides. So I actually have a new planner cover coming that is in a B6 size. It's a B6 folio. I'm excited to share that with you guys, and I hope to do an unboxing video when it arrives. And hopefully the next time you see this, it will be in that planner cover. But that will really help me be able to find things quickly.
As I was flipping back through, I realized almost every page had color except this one, so I wanted to add just a little bit of color. I thought about pulling out the watercolors, but I had my Tombows handy, and so I just used the Tombow that I had used in several other sections just to add a bit of color to this water. Not too much. I don't want to cover the whole page, but just give it a little bit of color since it was the only page that was all black and white. Making a couple of changes as I flip through and looking for where I might want to add tip-ins, where I might want to add stickers. I'm really trying to use up my supplies from both the Happy Planner sticker book and all the other stuff I had. So I saw a couple places where it looked like a sticker would be good, or maybe adding a tip-in would be good. These vellum tip-ins are very thin, so they don't add a lot of bulk, but I do like to have them because it helps me focus on one page at a time, and just to me, it looks better as I'm flipping through my planner. So I picked up a lot of these vellums at Hobby Lobby. They had a great selection of vellums when I went. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So just finishing touches across all of the planner and finishing my setup.
All right, so long setup, but I'm really excited about the way it turned out. I love the color scheme. I love how all the washi tapes went together. I love how the tip-ins went in. You know, I certainly see some things that I would do differently, and I hope that as you were watching, you weren't screaming at the screen, you know, don't do it that way or it's crooked. You know what? Yeah, there are things that are crooked, but you know what? That is what makes it my bullet journal, is all of the nuances and, you know, things that are personal. And so I really hope that you all enjoyed watching the process. And I'd love to hear from you. Are you planning to join me in the One Book July challenge? You know, that's why I wanted to set this book up. This is going to be my one planning spot for the month of July. So I'm really interested to hear, is anybody else taking on the challenge of One Book July? If so, what is your one book to rule them all? I would love to hear that down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Planning Annie for more content like this. And as always, thanks for planning with me.